What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing?
Hello.
Welcome to Face Mask Fantasy. And
you
we are
already
back.
know.
We are back. We took some time off.
There was a somewhat unplanned little couple week stretch there where between traveling, plans that we were involved in with friends, i.e. weddings, and a bout of COVID over about a 10 to 14 day stretch, kind of set us back unexpectedly. Yeah. At the same time, all three things happened.
Two weddings and COVID.
Two weddings and a bout with COVID.
And Nick had a whole ton of travel. Yeah,
I had a lot
Alex,
of cross-country travel involved.
Like London, like England or London, Ontario, or.
I'm gonna go ahead and assume
sure.
it's London, England.
What you doing in
late.
London, bro? You're headed to France tomorrow? Okay.
Little vacation.
I'm jealous.
That sounds pretty dope. That sounds pretty awesome.
I'm jealous.
What's going on in London? What's happening there?
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Respect for tuning in.
Man.
On what is clearly a vacation. You don't have to be doing that, but we appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Have a great time. Spend as little time here now as you need to, because it sounds like the night has got to be
going straight from Canada to France, but yeah, respect.
What's it there, like 10 or 11 o'clock at night? Head to the pub. It's pub time. Go sing songs with the countrymen over there. Okay, there you go. Nice little family time. That's cool. That's wild. I don't think I have like family that lives abroad. Not anybody who I would like go visit. It would have to be somebody I don't know about.
I mean, we all, yeah. I don't know. I don't have any family members overseas.
Not that I can think of.
Not anymore. But yeah, respect. I hope you're having fun over there.
Yeah, man.
Taking advantage of the Memorial Day, I'm guessing, and then taking a little bit of an extended vacation. That's nice. It's gotta be nice. Are you seeing any European / world football over there? Not the American football. Are you seeing any, like, I don't know what's going on over there right now, but are you watching any other football games?
Isn't Champions League happening somewhat soon, or maybe now? Or no, sorry, it already happened. Real Madrid won.
Yes,
they beat Liverpool. Okay, so Champions League happened. I feel like soccer, like I'll say football. Whatever the off season is for them is like 2 weeks. I feel like they're always playing.
Yeah, I mean, it goes from like the club games, and then there's not just the one club games. There's the national club games, and then
national tournaments,
club games, and then you got the international tournaments, and it's
yeah, it's a whole thing. Not to sound like an ignorant American, you know. I like soccer. I'm not one of those, who dislikes soccer. I like soccer. But I never latched onto a club. I never latched onto like my own, like, I don't have a rooting interest anywhere specific. I have friends who like different clubs, so like I can support them.
Right.
But I don't keep up with the schedule. Like, honestly, but then I'm one of those people where when it's the World Cup, leave me alone. I'm watching every game.
All right.
I watch every game. I do, because it's just different. It's kind of like the Olympics. I can't explain it. But when curling is on in the Olympics, I'm watching that. I can't explain it. It's,
it just
it's
happens.
It's a bunch of things that you never watch, but there's something about those major tournaments that draws the audience, and I'm a part of that, absolutely. So
I'm not the biggest football world football whatever fan,
football.
But I will say I've been to a few football games. I've been to a game in Turkey when I was younger. I went to two games when in Spain.
Okay.
The stadium experience is 10 million times better than
watching
an NFL game.
Sure, it's
in
wild.
person. I do have to say that I love the NFL and American football way more. Obviously, or I wouldn't be doing this with you. But just coming in cold from the sidewalk, if you just happen to just go to a game, you get wrapped up in it. You do. You just do. So I will say, yes.
There you go.
Yes.
Well, that's exciting.
But all right, you're on the you just took Mahomes at 102, traded for Lamar at the 105, and took Najee at 211.
244-pound Najee. That was that was the lighter side of news today.
Yeah, I mean
the NFL.
Yeah. Speaking of guys who took time off, we took time off. There's a player in the NFL who might be forced to take some time off. Do we want to get into that right now?
Let's so he's looking for, Alex did say he's looking for some advice because he's on the clock. He's got the 302. I mean,
the Campus to Canton League you were telling us about. Yeah.
Who are the options here? Who are like what are like 5 or 6 names where it's like these guys are in consideration for this spot?
You lock down your
quarterbacks are good.
You have your RB1. I think now. Do you go wide receiver here then and just lock it up?
Sure. Depending on, it depends on who's available. There's got to be a lot of. I'm sure there's a lot of appealing names here for a variety of reasons when you factor in youth. You know, how talented are these players? What's their trajectory? How much do you like them moving forward? You know, are they in a winning environment now? Are they in a situation that you feel good about, like just in general this year and beyond? Throw some names in the chat and we can figure it out. But
what I will say is your quarterbacks are immaculate. You know, who did you grab in the Campus to Canton part of the college drafting players part of your draft there?
That's pretty cool.
Because I don't think either of us has ever done a Campus to Canton league.
I've not done Campus to Canton, but it would be fun.
And yeah, man, I'm not worried about Najee either, but it's weird because you normally hear players talk about how they slimmed down, even at the running back position, to prepare for their second season. You heard that from Le'Veon Bell was the guy who did that. Ronald Jones was the guy who did that. There've been a couple of them, but you don't normally hear about running backs gaining a ton of weight for their second season. So it's interesting.
I would be lying if I said I was not. I know it's a May headline, so take it with a grain of salt, but I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little concerned, like a little worried. Hopefully he trims all of this down, but I mean,
give me 1 sec here. Keep talking.
He put on about 15 pounds. I know it's muscle, right? He's not just like eating cheeseburgers and, you know, letting his body go. But this is a situation where, you know, he's a running back. He's uses his hamstrings a lot. He's going to be making cuts when you add weight. Even if it's muscle, like that's more strain on your lower body. It's more that your lower body has to carry on a play-by-play basis. I know that it's a nitpicky situation here, but I would much prefer to hear that he trims it back down to at least lose at least 10 pounds. I feel like the optimal you want to be around that like 220 pounds. When you're 6'1", I think he's 6'1", Najee is. Like, put him in that 220, 225 range. I don't want to hear about 245. But we'll see. Maybe he'll work it all off through OTAs, through training camp, and all of that. Meanwhile, I like the idea of long-term targeting Arch Manning. I can't think. As far as a super flex prospect, there probably aren't too many that are better right now.
As far as projecting out, no.
Yeah.
I think he's got to be the most high profile at least, and setting yourself up for him. You already have Mahomes and Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're gonna be a top half of the league competitor, regardless of basically how the rest of your roster works out, considering it's Superflex, for the foreseeable future. So that's those solid moves.
But as far as who's available now, you got Andrews, Eckler, Brown. Is that Marquise Brown or AJ Brown? Which Brown is that?
AJ,
Debo.
I would guess probably not Marquise. Marquise is probably a few rounds later.
Debo, Adams, Mixon, Waddle. You never know.
True.
Mixon, Waddle. Because Marquise Brown's, at least for this year, his ADP has skyrocketed. Debo, Adams, Mixon, Waddle, Cook, Diggs, Carr, Rodgers, Tua, Hill, Higgins. I mean, for me,
do you go Higgins here?
It's either
You're
Andrews
high on
or
Higgins, and he's a young stud. He's 23 years old, I believe. So
I do really like Higgins. I mean,
to me, if you're going wide receiver, it's Higgins or Waddle. And I know there are higher profile wide receivers that you can draft, but considering you're trying to set yourself up for dynasty dominance, I mean, Higgins and Waddle are intriguing picks at the 302.
I love Higgins. I guess the only thing with Higgins is he's locked into his team's wide receiver 2 role forever. And yes, he'll have his, of course, wide receiver 1 weeks. It would be ludicrous to say that there won't ever be a time where he outperforms Jamar Chase.
Forever? I don't know if I can say forever.
Well, I mean, we're talking about Jamar Chase. The Bengals are going to. I love T. Higgins, but if it ever came to a point, the Bengals are going to prioritize Jamar Chase.
The Bengals are allergic to re-signing.
So if Higgins moves on, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Higgins is going to be moving on in 2024.
But this is a team where you look at them now and it's like they have a chance to be perennial contenders for the first time in their history.
Yeah, but look at the track record for the organization spending money. This is an organization that still doesn't have an indoor practice facility in 2022. And when was the last time that they truly locked up and made a priority to lock up one of their wide receivers?
I'm inclined to believe it's got to be different this time around because, again, they've never, ever in our lifetime had a team where you looked at them and said they could have sustained success. Like,
True.
Beyond just like, oh, Carson Palmer's there. Like, yeah, they could.
But if you could get a 23-year-old Godwin,
well, yeah.
Would you be thinking? Because that's yes. Higgins will be the wide receiver 2 for his team. But if you could get a 23-year-old Godwin playing with Joe Burrow, even if he is locked up and my concerns are invalid, and they lock him up for the next 8 to 10 years, 6 to 10 years, I don't know if that's a bad thing.
Nah. Is this the last year of his rookie deal? No, next year we're 2024, right? Will be the last year of his rookie year.
Jamar Chase or T. Higgins? Higgins will be a UFA in 2024.
In 2024. So he's still under contract for 2023.
Two more years. Because he was a second-round pick. So
I wonder
he's
if
locked
next
into
year,
that 4-year concert.
I wonder if we're looking at a contract dispute next year with him.
I mean, we could.
Feels like it's possible. So then maybe the Bengals are like, maybe they look to to try to trade him for a monster haul or something like that. But then, then he's potentially stepping into a wide receiver 1 situation somewhere else. Higgins, I would say, how old is Mark Andrews?
Is it Higgins or Waddle for you? Because that's who we're talking about here, and Waddle is locked into a wide receiver 2 role as well for at least the next 4 years.
Yeah.
Because he was a first-round pick, so he was
a first-round pick, so they'll pick up his option.
Tyreek got signed to a 4-year extension.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Higgins doesn't have a 5th-year option hanging over his head because he was a second-round pick, not a first-round pick. I guess I would say Higgins, only because I guess he's a few years younger than Andrews.
I would say Higgins. Unless this is a tight end premium, and then maybe Andrews. But honestly, I think you got to go Higgins.
I would say Higgins over Waddle, just because for now we can project that his quarterback for the long term will be Joe Burrow. Could it become a situation where T. Higgins holds out next year? He wants a new deal. He's not playing. He's not going to play again, or he's not going to report until he gets his new contract from the Bengals, and we get into this offseason dispute. Sure, it could happen. And then, his quarterback of the future maybe is a little bit murkier and it's a little bit more questionable. But but for now, we have to operate like his quarterback is Joe Burrow. You'd rather have a Joe Burrow receiver right now, today, as much as I believe in Tua, than a Tua wide receiver. Yes. So Higgins over Waddle.
Yep.
Higgins over Waddle. I would say Andrews is the only other one in the conversation here.
But since he has the 309 and the 302, and it is tight end premium, do you just get your Andrews, who should be a tight end 1 for the next 4 to 5 years, if not longer?
Oh, it is.
And then hope that people prioritize Cook,
it's not
Mixon, Diggs, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Eckler, AJ Brown, and then hope that Higgins falls to you at 3-9.
Or even if you don't get him, you're still potentially looking at a Jalen Waddle. And or worst case, like here's your quote unquote worst case scenario, you just take Devontae Adams.
Honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I would go Andrews at
1.5 tight end premium. Give me Andrews.
Andrews
Give me
at 3-2, and then you got Mahomes, Lamar.
You have Lamar. Stack. You have Lamar.
And then hope that Higgins falls to you.
You have Lamar, Alex. Stack them. Yes. Stack.
Yes.
Take Andrews. Hope for the what is it? The 302, and then you got to wait 7 picks. I'll go ahead and assume Higgins is gone, but you're going to still get a decent consolation prize from that group of names that you mentioned. And you lock in an elite tight end 1 in tight end premium, and you already have his quarterback. You have his You will have the best quarterbacks in your league, and you will have the best tight end in your league for the next 4 years, guaranteed. Yeah. So you can team build around that for sure, especially since you have the 302 and you can jump back into the wide receiver pool then. So yeah, that's the way to go. Yep.
And what's going on, CXK? Good to see
CXK.
You. We are both doing better. Thank you for asking.
Doing much better. Simply put, again, for anybody jumping in just recently, we both had a busy couple of weeks. We had a couple of good friends get married. I had a couple of cross country flights to take, and we both had a bout of COVID. So we were set back a little bit with putting recorded content out. You can expect that to start up again this week.
Yes, absolutely.
So appreciate the well wishes. We are good. Both feeling better. I'm feeling much better. I intend to record something tonight. So there you go. But yeah, appreciate it.
And ETN or Dobbins? Yeah. Who are you going with? Because I think it's clear for me.
It's clear for me.
I would rather have ETN than Dobbins going forward in Dynasty.
Yeah, it's ETN. The arrow is pointing up. He's reportedly bulked up as well, and I say as well because we got the Najee Harris 15-pound report today that he's up to like around 245 pounds. I'm a little bit worried about that. Hopefully that's just a useless May headline, but a little worried about it. However, ETN was on the smaller side. He was viewed as more like a scat back or like a receiving back than, say, a bell cow. He has bulked up this offseason, reportedly. He looks great. Head coach Doug Peterson has said he looked good in OTAs. It's hard to envision that James Robinson is able to contribute early in the season, suffering an Achilles tear late last year. I think it was week 16 or 17.
Yeah.
So, we saw Cam Akers come back miraculously in a 5-month stretch, but also keep in mind, Cam Akers was rushing his rehab back because the Rams were Super Bowl contenders from the get-go, and then lo and behold,
he wasn't very effective with his touches. When he wasn't effective. Back, we were all going crazy over the fact that he came back, because it was something that is something we hadn't seen from an NFL running back, just coming back that quickly from an Achilles tear. But it was a miraculous comeback. Pretty terrible during that span when he was back.
Which I'm not holding against him, because the fact that he was even out there 5 months after an Achilles tear was remarkable. The point being, it would be a remarkable turnaround, for James Robinson to be ready week 1 and able to contribute at even a decent level, much less a high level. Travis Etienne, so I know I'm just talking about this year, but moving forward, James Robinson, as awesome as he burst onto the scene, was an undrafted free agent. Travis Etienne was, for better or worse, was a terrible coaching staff, a clueless coaching staff, but they made him a first-round pick. So they're going to heavily utilize and involve him in this offense, and he's going to be the guy for at least the first half of the season. And then we'll see how James Robinson does coming back. There's probably going to be even more rehab built in during the season for Robinson. Meanwhile, Dobbins, the reports are good. Sounds like he should be ready week 1, but he's got much more working against him as far as competition. Gus Edwards averages 5 yards a carry for his career and is a damn good running back. Lamar Jackson is one of the biggest quarterback vultures as far as rushing production in the NFL. They kicked the tires on Melvin Gordon for whatever it's worth. They didn't sign him, but they gave it a look.
But they bring in one of the better late-round running backs in this class, in Tyler Batty, who, say what you will about late-round running backs, but we've seen a fair amount of late-round running backs get a fair amount of run, even just last season. But another thing that is shouldn't be lost on your Travis Etienne evaluation is the fact that he's going to be used in a receiving role, and he plays with his college quarterback. So regardless of the fact that he came in, didn't get any play in his first season because of the injury, he doesn't need to build that rapport with his quarterback from a receiving perspective. He already has it. And yes, it wasn't the most heavy set running back in the league, but 5'10", 215 pounds is not bad at all.
No.
So the fact that he did get a little bit more rocked up, for him, it's not 244 pounds, so we're not worried about him losing any speed.
No.
And yet, I mean, Travis Etienne could end up being what everybody wants DeAndre Swift to be.
Well, I haven't given up on him, but
I haven't given up on him either. But just from the perspective of, you look at the offense that he's playing in, I could see the Jags turning it around a little bit faster, just due to the fact that they have that high-profile quarterback.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift has to deal with Jared Goff. He has, and deal with a bad team. And maybe that's going a little bit too into the weeds, but I mean, Travis Etienne could end up being a rich man's DeAndre Swift.
Well, that would be lofty, because DeAndre Swift averaged about 18 fantasy points per game last year. When he was on the field, he was money. It's just he did have some injury issues in the second half of the season. I would not. I'm actually not ready to go that far.
Okay.
About ETN, I'm not ready to go that far. But ETN versus Dobbins, the answer for me is clear. It's ETN. Dobbins was good his rookie season. He averaged 6 yards a touch. In not limited action, but he didn't take over the role right away. Mark Ingram was still there Dobbins' rookie season. They moved away from Ingram as the season progressed, which we see happen a lot with young running backs. They may not take over right away, but they eventually start to get lean on from the team, like in the second half of the season. ETN, I think, has a much clearer path to a more significant role than Dobbins does. Dobbins has more competition.
Yes.
Gus Edwards will get out there. Lamar Jackson will steal rushing work and probably vulture touchdowns in the red zone. And to your point about ETN being a receiving back, I've brought this up before. It's just part of Greg Roman's scheme as an offensive coordinator. Baltimore does not throw to running backs. It's just not what they do. It's not a part of their game plan. We cannot, based off of history and how we have seen Greg Roman run his offense, we cannot expect significant receiving work from Dobbins. It's just not a part of what the Ravens do. Whereas ETN has receiving chops that probably played a significant part in him becoming a first-round pick in the first place. So ETN, we can expect pass-catching work. Dobbins, we can't.
True.
So, yeah.
And I do want to explain my while we're here, why not? I want to explain my ETN rich man's DeAndre Swift line of thought.
Okay.
Because Swift, a lot of people had Swift as the RB1 in this class, in his class. A lot of people did. It was overshadowed by the CEH and eventually the Jonathan Taylor, but a lot of people had DeAndre Swift as the RB1 in that class and then faded him after the draft because of the landing spot. And a lot of people had ETN as the RB1 over Najee Harris in his class.
I don't remember that.
A lot of people did.
I don't remember that. I feel like I remember Najee kind of emerging as the consensus RB1 last year, but okay.
Well, all right, whatever. Fine. Just shooting down everything I'm saying. Thanks, bro.
Well, no, I think DeAndre Swift is a little bit more established, despite the fact that he had injury issues of his own last year. I'm not worried about DeAndre Swift or Travis Etienne. It's not close for me. It's even Etienne is closer to Dobbins for me right now.
In a Swift. Yes. If I was choosing today, I'd rather have DeAndre Swift. But I could see a route to where if Trevor Lawrence ends up being who everybody thinks Trevor Lawrence is, with the lack of target competition on that offense, if Travis Etienne secures that do-it-all versatile role, basically the DeAndre Swift role in that offense, his ceiling will be higher than DeAndre Swift's.
Okay. All right. Fair. Because there's more. You can argue there's more weapons in Detroit, better weapons in Detroit.
And if Trevor Lawrence reaches his ceiling, the quarterback play will be a lot better, more scoring chances regardless, all that stuff.
Yeah. That remains to be seen, but also we can't really hold last year against Trevor Lawrence. It was a complete disaster all the way around.
And CXK do not trade for Watson right now. Let's get into this because he asked the question. Received 2 offers today: Tua and ETN or Tua and Waddle for Deshaun Watson. I would not do either of those right now until the waters that got even more muddied today clear up.
Yeah, so if anybody hasn't seen, or if maybe, if I don't know if you've seen it, but the reports are that a 23rd woman has come forward, and let me make sure I get the language correct on this because I don't want to misspeak on a situation this sensitive. Let me just pull up let me make sure. Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson is facing a 23rd civil lawsuit filed by Tony Busby, according to Harris County records. This one was filed following the recent HBO Real Sports segment. So now it's not 22 civil counts, it's 23. How much weight do you put into that? The report literally just came out.
But that number getting any larger is just even more of a bad sign. You would hope that maybe some of those what that legal team is probably hoping is that some of those accounts would drop off. Not that some people who didn't tie themselves to those lawsuits would come out of the woodwork after what was a damning HBO special. It was. Did you see any of it?
No, I did not.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. Terrible optics. Now, they did bring in the lawyer to try to explain some of it away so that there's a little parity there in terms of seeing, so they could see both sides. But, dude, it was bad. It was bad. He didn't come out of that looking good at all. And now there's another lawsuit.
Now we have a 23rd lawsuit.
I'd be worried if it was one. You just added one on to 22.
Yeah.
It just, Alex, I guess you don't need to watch it. Take my word for it. It's bad. You don't want to have Watson right now. You don't want to be trading for Watson right now.
It's hard to advise trying to acquire Watson, especially for players where we can project well for those players. Like,
you don't want to give up a Waddle stack for Watson.
No, and I don't want to give up ETN either. I would say given in light of the news that just broke within the hour, hold off.
Yeah, remember Ezekiel Elliott had one female file charges against him, or file a lawsuit against him. No charges, no public HBO special, and he got a 6-game suspension.
Still got
Deshaun Watson has 23 current females with a lawsuit against him, filing lawsuits against him. No criminal charges. Civic cases still pending. And something that the HBO thing brought up was there were 44 massage therapists in total, because he had some that technically came to his defense.
Mm-hmm.
But as you can see, this HBO special convinced one of those that came to his defense, or at least did not choose to speak out against him, did not choose to file the lawsuit against him, change their mind. It's just all bad, and it's getting worse. And even if this all eventually goes away and nothing comes of these lawsuits, which I wouldn't say is a great possibility right now, but I'm not a lawyer. There's still the question of, did he violate the standards articulated in the personal conduct policy? The conduct detrimental to the Shield that we've heard a lot about. Even if he gets cleared, no guarantee that they won't say, bro, you've been a huge black eye to the NFL over the course of the last 2+ seasons, and we don't like that. So we're going to throw the book at you anyway, because regardless of what happened with the lawsuits, you're doing something weird. And it's been a huge black eye to the league. So there's a lot to think about. There's obviously a lot of things need to fall into place. A lot of things need to get worked out. And we don't have any answers. But it's all damning, and it's all at least worrisome to the point where I'm not making any trades for him.
There's a lot of baggage and a lot of unknown right now, and it makes it difficult to even try to suggest a buy low. Like I think for now, and again, I understand wanting to look for buy low opportunities whenever they potentially arise. This is a different conversation. It is difficult to vouch for trying to acquire him when his playing future is still very much undecided. Is he gone forever? I don't know about that. Will he play in 2022? Will he play a game in 2022? I don't know.
Yeah, and you might know more about this than I, because I don't pay attention to baseball at all. But wasn't there a domestic abuse charge with the player
Trevor Bauer,
who and he didn't play for a full year, and then he was set to play the second year, and the MLB higher ups came in and said, "You're getting banned for another year." Didn't that happen?
Yes. He's essentially been like excommunicated from MLB without it being like actually official. But yes, last year he started playing part of the season, then the news broke. Then there was like a leave of absence, or they were putting him on like an administrative leave type thing, and he was suspended for the rest of the season. Eventually he was suspended for the rest of the season. I don't think he's playing. I don't think he has pitched this year either. To be honest, I'm paying less and less attention to baseball each year. But I don't think he's playing this year, or hasn't played to this point. So with that having already happened, I mean, the NFL is obviously well aware of that scenario. They are going to seriously consider the type of message that they get the opportunity to send whenever the punishment gets brought down. And it's hard to believe it's not going to be severe.
And we want to get to some of these questions in the chat from you, Johnny Jones, what's going on. But the last thing I will say is, I mean, I think he's getting what, $10 million this year, and then next year his contract goes up to 60 mil, and the year after that it's 60 mil, and the year after that it's 60 mil, and the year after that it's 60 mil. If you want to punish a guy, wouldn't you make a point to punish him in a year where he's getting paid the most?
So you're saying suspend him next year?
Well, I'm saying if the NFL is going to take a page out of the MLB's book, it would make sense to me that they would just say, yeah, you're not playing this year. You're not getting that full 10 mil. And you're not getting the bonuses based off of whatever you play on a per game basis or whatever. I don't know the contract details for 2023 either, because that's when you really get the money that you were awarded for. Because basically he was rewarded for whatever he did. He was rewarded for his actions.
Yeah.
With $60 million a year over the next 4 years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the NFL is going to actually try to make this right, which is a crazy thing to say, the NFL making something right,
go figure,
in the public eye. But if they're actually going to do it, it would make sense for them to come down harder on the years where he is actually getting paid the big bucks. True. A lot of extrapolation there. I think we've made our point with Deshaun Watson. Murky situation.
Very murky.
I would stay away in fantasy altogether.
For now, yeah. For now, stay away. if you want to, in a perfect world, and not, let me rephrase that. In a world where he plays in 2022, you can revisit that when we know it definitively.
Right. And honestly, if you're looking for cheap quarterbacks to play in 2022, Jacoby Brissett might be the cheapest starting quarterback in the league next year that you can get on a dynasty team.
How wild would it be if Baker Mayfield was the Browns' Week 1 starter?
I don't know. I don't know if we want to go there.
I don't think he's ever going to play for them again.
Let's get to some of Johnny Jones's questions. What's going on, Iron? Good to see you.
Well, and we will do that, Johnny. What's going on, Johnny? What's going on, Iron? I just want to make sure we wrap things up with Alex. We dropped down a little bit to finish up CXK's ETN question. Alex is suspecting that Higgins will be available to him at that third pick.
And I hope he is for you.
So in that case, and he's going to go. He's had to go to Andrews. So yeah, then get Higgins. And if you end up getting Mahomes, Lamar, get the Lamar Andrews stack, and then still end up with Higgins.
Oh man,
that's. You'd be hard pressed to show me another start that is better as far as winning now, while also still having the flexibility to win
down the
long
road.
term. Yeah.
Because every single one of those players will be good for at least the next 4 seasons, and the majority of those players, the quarterbacks and Higgins, will probably be good for at least 8. So
I would say give me Mahomes will be good for another decade.
Yes.
And Higgins should be good for, another 6 or 7. Andrews should be good for another 5 or 6. Lamar should be good for another 5 or 6. I would say at least 6 or 7. How old is Lamar?
27, 26? I don't know off the top of my head. I'm guessing.
He's 25. So, I would take Lamar for another 8 years.
Yeah. Wow, dude. Good job. Good job. If that ends up going exactly the way that we kind of speculate it will, if you go Andrews here and Higgins falls to you, that is a great job, dude.
Yeah. Yep.
But Johnny Jones, hey guys, what's up? What's going on, bro? Got a few questions for you.
Happy to talk through all that.
Huh?
There's
more. I'm sorry. I'm jumping.
He said thanks, and I'm just saying you're welcome. That's it.
Okay. All right. But CXK, just to wrap up there, I don't feel bad about having those guys as my quarterbacks. I don't like having a top 5 quarterback is great, but having Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, Kenny Pickett, and Tua at quarterback, with having 3 2023 firsts where you could pick up a CJ Stroud or something like that. Now, if you were dead set on getting a top 5 quarterback, if you wanted to throw Trevor Lawrence and a first at the Allen owner, just to shoot for the moon, then go for it. But honestly, I would feel happy going into next season as a contender or a rebuilder with your quarterbacks.
You already have a top 5 quarterback. Well, you have a top 5 quarterback upside on your roster already, and he plays in San Francisco.
Yes.
You already have the dude on CXK, your quarterback who plays in San Francisco has a floor of a low QB1 and has a ceiling of top 3.
We are both very high on Trey Lance.
Yes. So you're good. Your QB1 is already in your back pocket. Yeah. And then you just need one of those other guys to just pan out.
Basically.
You're good.
Yep. Sometimes the best thing to know the best game plan is to know when to stand pat.
Yep.
I don't know if I said that right, but you get my point.
Do nothing with Trey Lance other than hold him.
Yep.
So, you're good. Now we can get to Johnny. So thanks for being a little patient there, Johnny.
Yeah. So got a few questions for you in Dynasty contender. Deontay and Gesicki for Burks and Kittle.
Let's see.
Honestly, think I want the Deontay Gesicki side.
You want? Yeah. Okay. Why?
Because while we expect some regression for Deontay, we've seen him be a top 8 wide receiver in the league. And there's no guarantee that Treylon Burks approaches anywhere near the ceiling that we've already seen from Deontay. Now, I know that's offset by the fact that Gesicki is not as good at nearly as good of a tight end as Kittle. We love Trey Lance, but we love Trey Lance because he brings the rushing upside to the table and he has the cannon. But Kittle is gonna be he's been, I don't know. I feel like if Gesicki is not the player that Kittle is, but no. Gesicki can be a high-end tight end 1 for your team if he continues to perform like he has been and doesn't suffer a slump halfway through the season like as what has happened with him over the past few seasons.
I mean, we've seen week-to-week tight end 1 upside. We've seen tight end 1 performances from Gesicki.
Exactly.
We can't sit here and call him like a tight end 1, though. Kittle, you can call a tight end 1. Now, yes, there's more built-in downside. No,
I think you can call Gesicki a tight end 1. He might not be a top 6 tight end,
1.
But
okay, not top 6.
He's tight end
top
8.
10. Sure,
I would be happy putting him tight end 8, right? Not quite a difference maker, but definitely not somebody you're not happy having on your squad. I like Burks. There's a chance Burks just outright busts. That's in the range of outcomes. Deontay, despite the fact that we expect a step back in production for him, there's no way he's going to bust.
He's not going to bust. He's too good.
And he's the type of wide receiver that will age gracefully. So I'm not worried about his age either. Kittle has target competition. He's not a young tight end. He's not old. He's not a young tight end. He's dealt with injuries
28.
himself. The concerns that we have about Tua with Gesicki, I mean, I have concerns about Trey Lance being able to feed Kittle the ball on a consistent basis to where he would be a top 2 tight end, which is where he's been valued in Dynasty. I'm not saying Kittle is bad. I'm saying I would rather have the combination of Deontay and Gesicki because I know they will both perform admirably for my fantasy team than Burks and Kittle because there's really only one guarantee there. You know what I mean? If Burks doesn't fire, you're left with Kittle, and you traded away a wide receiver 2 with high-end wide receiver 1 upside and a tight end 1 who is just now coming into his age apex season as a tight end.
More target competition with the addition of Tyreek.
Lesser coverage than he's ever faced before.
Yeah.
Ever. And I believe he's only on a 1-year deal.
Yeah. I thought they locked him up, but it could be the franchise tag. Let me double check that.
He signed a 1-year, $10 million deal.
Yeah, it's all right. It's a 1-year deal, so he could theoretically leave next year and go somewhere else. Could be a more favorable spot. Could.
I still, I mean, I love Kittle, and I like Burks a lot, but I'm not giving up Deontay and Gesicki for Burks and Kittle without something else thrown in there. If they want to add in a future pick, okay. But the 2 for 2 as it stands right now, I would rather have the Deontay Gesicki side. People are worried Burks ends up being N'Keal Harry. If that happens,
we don't think that's gonna happen.
We don't think that's gonna happen. It's not outside of the range of possibilities. If that happens, you're not happy. And I don't know. I'd rather have Deontay and Gesicki.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it looks. I guess it looks decently fair. Burks being the youngest piece here, with the potential for the least amount of competition for targets, but the biggest long-term question mark at quarterback. Because the NFL told us what it collectively thinks of Malik Willis.
Now, is there a way you could do Gesicki and a pick for Kittle? Can you do Gesicki and a 24 first for Kittle, and then you hold Deontay? You keep your your borderline wide receiver 1, high end wide receiver 2, and you just upgrade your tight end from a low end tight end 1 to a top tier tight end 1, and ride that off into the sunset? Like, is that a possibility for you, Johnny? Because I don't like the uncertainty that you're moving into with Deontay for Burks. That would be what I would be trying to do. Especially since you're a dynasty contender. You don't want to go all in on rookies if you're a dynasty contender. If you're in a rebuild, that's something different.
Yeah.
But as a contender, if I'm a contender, I'm not moving off of my Deontay. We do expect a slight step back for Deontay in his production, like I said. I'm not moving Deontay for Burks, even if it upgrades me at another position.
Nah, Deontay's still a very safe wide receiver 2. With, like you said, wide receiver 1 upside. He's a very safe player. Yeah, I guess I lean the Deontay side slightly. It's close. It's not like it's a runaway, but I guess I prefer the Deontay side.
I'd be trying to, as a contender, as somebody who has a contending team too, what I've done is I've upgraded where I could by sending a Gesicki and a future first for a Kittle. That's the type of move a contender makes, because your first is probably going to be a late first, but if it's in the future, the player you're trading with, the fantasy player you're trading with, doesn't know that. They're just seeing, I'm getting another first here, I'll take it.
Yeah,
that's the type of move I would be making as a contender. I wouldn't be trying to. I mean, I wouldn't be making that trade. I'd be trying to package Gesicki and a 24 first for Kittle.
Which he said sounds like he might not want to do, but then hold Deontay. If you're not getting value that if you're sitting there thinking like, man, I'm open to a deal, I'm open to making a move, I'm open to selling Deontay for the right price, but the price isn't to your liking, then don't sell. Just hold.
Yep.
Let him keep doing what he's been doing and for whatever reason fly under the radar a little bit, or that's what it feels like. Even after a wide receiver 1 finish last year.
Again, man, we made the comparison last week. He is the new Robert Woods.
Yeah.
He is the new Robert Woods. He will always be slightly undervalued by the dynasty community and always overperform his projections.
Yeah. Yeah, keep the Deontay side. But he's got a couple other things
trade
here.
Focused on a Breece Hall for Antonio Gibson.
I would not do that if you're a contender. Gibson's stock, I wouldn't even say it's falling right now. It feels like it's kind of plummeting, which I think is an overreaction. I think the Brian Robinson draft pick has people more worried than they should be. Not that Gibson is necessarily foolproof or bulletproof, but I see him falling to like the 7th round of best balls now, which seems crazy to me because I think Washington's going to run the ball a lot this year and he's going to be the 1A. Yes, McKissick continues to cap his ceiling and he might not catch as many passes as we wish a converted wide receiver would catch out of the backfield, but he battled multiple injuries, most notably the shin injury last year, and still finished as a low-end RB1.
You know who I view Antonio Gibson like? I feel like Antonio Gibson is early career Joe Mixon.
Could be.
Dealt with injuries and also had to deal with the presence of Gio Bernard every single year up until basically last year. Antonio Gibson is going to have to deal with the J.D. McKissicks and the Brian Robinsons of the world. And he had some health issues early in his career. But we should not be discounting Antonio Gibson like people have been.
Like, if you do the Breece Hall for Gibson deal, at this point, I guess I'm open to it given you get something else because Gibson's stock has fallen. If you are dangling Breece Hall and the selling point can be age discrepancy, better situation, a clearer path to being the guy, and just better overall vibes, I need Gibson plus.
Absolutely.
I need Gibson plus. And now that we've kind of talked our way through that, I'm open to that, depending on what the plus is. But you can't give me, if I'm giving you Breece Hall, you are in a position where if Antonio Gibson is what you're getting in return, you can get more. You can get Gibson plus a good pick or another good player.
That's tough. I feel like Breece Hall isn't as highly thought of right now because he is playing with Michael Carter for what it's worth. He is playing on the Jets for what it's worth.
And we just haven't seen him at the NFL
Breece
level.
Hall as a prospect is Jonathan Taylor like. I'm not moving off of Breece Hall. I'm not moving off of Breece Hall before I've seen him for a year. Oh, you have Gibson. If you have Gibson and somebody's willing to give you Breece Hall,
1 for 1,
I would do that
in
a second.
Then okay.
I would do that without a second thought.
Then okay.
I like Antonio Gibson.
Then if you can get 1 for 1, then for Breece, then do it.
We've been saying for a long time, Breece Hall is a better Najee Harris.
Fat Najee Harris.
Yeah. Najee Harris that doesn't look like me. Nailed it. Trade focused on Garrett Wilson for Antonio Gibson.
So you have, look, if you can
get Breece Hall and you can swerve and get the Garrett Wilson for Antonio Gibson, I would want more than just Garrett Wilson. I'd take Breece Hall in a second. If you can't get that done, it would take Garrett Wilson plus for me to move off of Antonio Gibson.
Fine.
Elijah Moore is there. Corey Davis is there. You talk about competition. Competition matters more.
Wilson's got more competition for work.
Yeah, and you're talking about a complete unknown. Antonio Gibson has finished as RB10 last year, despite the injuries and the workload.
Yeah, it was a low-end RB1, despite the shin injury that was very clearly bothering him all season.
Yeah, man. If you're doing that, I want Garrett Wilson plus. And who do you have here? DJ Moore, I'm guessing, or Keenan Allen? Are you acquiring Keenan Allen?
Or do you have
Or you have Keenan because now you're saying Keenan for Waddle.
Or Waddle. Well, you can do. I mean,
if you can move Keenan Allen into Jalen Waddle,
I would. Yeah, I would
do that in a second. If you can move Keenan Allen into DJ Moore, I would have to think very long and hard about it. But I would think I would do that. I think I would do that.
If you can pull it off,
since you're a contender.
Yeah.
But DJ Moore is 25 years old. Keenan Allen just is 30. Isn't he 30 now?
Yeah.
I'm saving 5 years of wide receiver.
Yeah, he's 30.
You're saving 5 years of wide receiver 2 production.
Mm-hmm.
Is Keenan Allen a better wide receiver straight up than DJ Moore? Yes.
Yes.
But the age discount is enough for me to say, even if I am a contender, I'd rather have the DJ Moore side because that keeps me a contender for a longer period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You have Allen. Yeah, if you can get Waddle, I'm doing it. If you can get DJ Moore, I'm doing it. Carolina's quarterback situation can only go up. It can only go up. He was playing with Cam Newton last year.
Yep.
It can only go up. And if you remember, when Sam Darnold was running for touchdowns and doing his thing, DJ Moore, I believe through the first 4 or 5 weeks, was a top 6 wide receiver.
DJ Moore started off the season strong.
Right. It didn't take much. Mm-hmm. All it took was Sam Darnold to get hot. Carolina's going to have a better quarterback situation very soon than they will have last season, even if Matt Corral isn't that great. We love Keenan Allen, but the age discount there is too much to pass up. Yep. You're saving 5 years at high-end wide receiver too.
And he can, and Waddle is still a play as a contender.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was during our hot take show we talked about the case for Waddle being a better wide receiver in 2022 than Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Could happen. And all right, you got all right, is that the European League of Football? Is that what ELF stands for? Elf? I like that. Let me look this up.
I forget what I've heard that term before. Yeah, I think you're actually right.
European League of Football.
So
yeah,
it's like
is that like the new NFL Europe?
2 teams from Austria join the league.
That's cool. That's awesome. You got a favorite team from Austria? Which one are you rooting for? We might have to jump on the bandwagon.
I'll get a jersey. Take it to my next music festival.
There you go. They got a few of those out in Cali.
Yeah, they got some.
And Johnny, yeah, don't force a Deontay trade.
Nah.
I'd be standing pat there. Let's see here.
Just moving on down. All the other options are on the. Let's see.
Also, Mike with Tua and Hill now. Mike Gesicki. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, so that was that was something that we talked about. How there's more target competition with Tyreek Hill there now. I guess the Deontay side is something that I think we still prefer, just because it's two known commodities.
Look at the competition for targets on the other side of the ball, or on the other side of the trade. I mean, Kittle, yes, better tight end, but he has to contend with Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, on what should be a run-first team, at least the Dolphins aren't a run first team. They will be a pass first team in 2022.
You would think.
Regardless, I'm still holding.
Yeah. Yeah, just sit tight there. Hold the Deontay side. But if you can turn Keenan into Waddle,
that's a smart move. Or DJ Moore.
Now you would be doubling up on Dolphins in that situation with having both Waddle and Gesicki.
True.
For whatever that's worth. But also Gesicki's on a 1-year contract. Could move on next year. Or if he pops off, it's okay to have 2 good players on the same team. And then the Dolphins lock him up and...
Because they're not at the same position either. It's not like you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle.
No.
They're at 2 different positions.
Turn Keenan into Waddle and see if you can get to it. There you go. Get that triple stack going.
Boom. All right. Waddle or DK better? DJ. Waddle or DJ better? Who would you say is better?
It's hard because I feel like it's DJ Moore, but also Waddle's but like we haven't had the chance to see DJ Moore's potential untapped because of his terrible situation. But Waddle had a phenomenal rookie season with over 100 catches. I mean, Waddle was the 6th overall pick in the draft. DJ Moore was not that.
He was the 24th. But he has had 3 straight seasons of 1,000 yards receiving, and the only basically what he's gotten 4 touchdowns in each of his past 3 seasons.
Yeah,
he's been due for positive touchdown regression. There's that term again. Positive touchdown regression for a while now.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen DJ Moore at his floor for the past 3 seasons. And Waddle, I'm not going to say we've seen him at a ceiling because I do not believe that at all.
It's hard to I mean, 104 catches is pretty damn good. There's only so much higher you can climb. So.
Yeah, he had 142 targets.
Yeah. And that's not going to happen again with DJ
Moore has only seen that once, and that was last season.
I think it's hard to it's hard to answer that question as far as which one of them is better. One of them is DJ Moore's a 4th or 5th.
I'm going to say DJ Moore. I love Jalen Waddle, and it's very close.
I think it's a hard question to answer because we haven't seen DJ Moore in even a good situation.
I think that's why it's DJ Moore for me. Jalen Waddle was phenomenal in a good situation for him where the only other real target competition was Gesicki.
Yeah.
Regardless of what you think about Tua and how he performed last season, Jalen Waddle was in a good situation. His situation did get slightly worse. DJ Moore's situation is only going to get better. He's a 1.5 years older than Waddle. It's not a lot. DJ Moore's just been in the league for a very long time. But over the past 3 seasons, over 1,000 receiving yards each year and only 4 receiving touchdowns each year due to terrible quarterback play over his career. Mm-hmm. He's only 25, 2 years from the age apex. And we should see a better DJ Moore moving forward. The fact that at his floor, at his lowest, he's a 3-year, 1,000-yard player. Like you can play that game. I wouldn't be mad if you want to go Jalen Waddle over DJ Moore. I think I would rather have DJ Moore.
It's close.
It's close. It's very close.
It's close. But if DJ Moore gets even competent quarterback play, then,
yeah,
we're looking at a wide receiver 1.
Yeah. And I mean the target competition discussion is in his favor as well.
Waddle can be that too, but
he can.
It's it's close. Obviously, for I never want to just automatically associate like, oh, the younger player is better to have in Dynasty. That's not that's just in a vacuum. That's not always true. But obviously, Waddle's got a bit of, has a slight edge there, being a couple of years younger.
1.5 years younger. It's not even a couple.
Not even that.
Because DJ Moore is, again, so young. He's younger than A.J. Brown. And he's been playing for 4 seasons. To me, the more I think about it, the more I think DJ Moore is the safer bet with higher upside.
Yeah.
He is the safer bet with higher upside.
He's a damn good player. He just needs a freaking quarterback.
Yeah.
He just needs a quarterback.
Now, the team did lock him up for the foreseeable future. DJ Moore got paid this past offseason. So we're not looking at DJ Moore expecting him to be moving away from the Panthers anytime soon. So the only hope for him is that they'll actually find a quarterback.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe Matt Corral is that.
Well, I think if he doesn't fire this year, they will be so fed up with it, with their quarterback situations not working out for them year after year after year, that they'll go and pay up to get that number
move.
1 guy. I think they will. So DJ
if
Moore.
They're in a situation too, yeah.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, all right.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, I mean, he figures right. The Dolphins have their prospective quarterback of the future. The Panthers, despite drafting Corral in the 3rd round, might still not. So I wouldn't expect them necessarily to, unless Corral fires, like you said, they're not going to be one of those teams that makes a big trade for a star wide receiver and potentially caps DJ Moore's ceiling. They'll use those assets to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's the argument in Moore's favor. So, yeah.
And CXK, I mean, I hate to keep saying the same thing to you, man, but I think you need to look at Bateman and stand pat. If he's your wide receiver 5 and you're looking to trade him for a young wide receiver that you're more confident will be a high-end wide receiver 2, I don't know if there's anybody who is a younger player than Bateman that you're confident will be more confident this year will be a higher-end wide receiver 2 than Bateman. I think Bateman is that player. He's only in his 2nd year in the league.
He's 22. He'll be 23 in November.
And I would put money on him being a high-end wide receiver too.
Yeah, so we profiled him a good bit in our last Thursday's stream. He's got an ADP of about 60 this year, so he's around the end of the 5th round. Is where he's generally going. I mean, it's not hard to envision that ADP jumping 10 spots next year. I think he's the dude that I agree. I think he's the dude that you're potentially talking about looking to acquire. I think you already have him. I
guess you can package a first and get a Justin Jefferson or a Jamar Chase. Like, I don't know if you're going to get much better at a young wide receiver than Bateman next year. I'm not saying he's going to be a wide receiver 1, but if you're looking for a high-end wide receiver 2, I think Bateman is that guy. At 23 years old.
Like, if you could trade him for, like, Higgins straight up, just do that. Might do that.
Yeah, but I don't know if anybody's doing that.
Well,
Have you seen how high Dynasty Reddit is on Higgins right now?
Well, doesn't mean that this particular league mate who has Higgins wouldn't be open to dangling him.
Yeah, if the person in your league that has Higgins is
willing to do the trade 1-for-1, then sure.
Yeah, I just don't see.
Then sure.
I just don't see that happening.
Alex,
thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated.
That wasn't necessary, Alex, but appreciate it. They let you do that over in London?
Yeah, respect. You're not over there spending euros or pounds.
Yeah, it's
but
pounds.
thank you for the dollars. Much appreciated, Alex.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the one scenario. If you could find an owner that's dumb enough to trade you T. Higgins straight up for Rashad Bateman, jump at it.
And
outside of that,
my point.
Rashad Bateman is your young wide receiver with high-end wide receiver 2 value.
Unless you can. I wouldn't call it a fleece because we're very high on Bateman and his future, but unless you can get a guy who is very clearly the consensus is higher on 1-for-1, that's the only scenario I'm doing it. So you kind of see where I'm going here with my point. Like, my point ultimately is like, you have the dude that I think you're already looking, or that you already have the dude that you are like looking for.
Now, if somebody is super high on Bateman and you're not worried or so focused on age, and you're cool with trading Bateman for a slightly older wide receiver, if you can trade him for Michael Pittman, I'm happy with that. And I think he has a higher ceiling. But you're not getting younger there, if you see my point. You're getting older.
No.
You might be getting a better, more complete wide receiver in a better situation, but you're getting older. So there's a trade-off there.
And Bateman has more long-term stability at quarterback. We love Michael Pittman's short-term. I mean, we like Michael Pittman, period. However, the Colts, maybe 3 years from now, which obviously is not so far or not so like close, are going to be doing this dance again. Who's their quarterback going to be? Matt Ryan's what, 39, 30 or 37? Maybe he's not that old. 36. We can do this. We have Google. Matt Ryan is 37. So, in 4 years, he just turned 37, or in 3 years, he's going to be 40 years old. So like,
and how much
longer does Matt Ryan have?
I put Matt Ryan more in the Phillip Rivers bucket, where we're going to see 1 year of good Matt Ryan, and then he's going to regress to the point where it's like, maybe this guy shouldn't be in the league anymore.
Well, we'll see. I mean, it's possible that he can string together, like, it's not out of the realm of possibility that he's got 4 or 5 more years in him. Would I bank on that? Then maybe you have the words you could say, maybe I wouldn't bank on it, but I wouldn't rule it out. That being said, we are comfortable saying Lamar definitely has like 7 or 8 more years. But to your point, you're not getting like Pittman plus for Bateman because
honestly, you would have to trade
Bateman alone. Pittman is really good. Well, yeah. So
unless you have somebody that overvalues youth,
right? Yeah,
it's not happening.
Right.
And Iron, the Vienna Vikings. All right, hey man, I just looked him up.
Let's go Vienna.
Just looked him up. Is Nico Ruda? Is that how you pronounce that quarterback's name?
Ruda.
Nico Ruda, or I'm gonna butcher these names. Mate Hegedus. I'm
coming to save you.
Don't
coming to save you.
Don't quote me on the pronunciation, but that's dope, man. Do you get to see their games over there?
So I might be able to help. I know it's German and Austrian are not the same, but they're similar dialects, I think.
You know German? I didn't know that.
I used to. I could I could have like the most basic conversation. I don't use it in everyday life, but I studied it in middle school and high school, so I know a little bit. But why is this roster not loaded for me? But I don't use it in my day-to-day life, so I've lost probably 90% of it. But I can have a very basic conversation. Where's the quarterback? Okay, now it's come up for it. Haruda. There's no like umlaut, so maybe it's Haruda. There you go.
Yeah, but what about I got that one, but what about the other guy? Mate Hegadus?
Where Durs. The umlaut sound is like those two dots over the U is called an umlaut. It's like an sound, like an OH, but more emphasis. Like, I guess, Iron, feel free to tell me how wrong I am, but it's like it's probably Hegadus, I think.
Yeah, like probably you would know more than I would about that.
I think it's Hegad or Hegadus. I can't remember if it's like hard G's or soft G's in this scenario, but like the end of it is probably Durs, not Deuce. So,
but regardless, man, that's cool.
There's a little lesson for you.
That's cool.
Let's go Vienna.
Yeah, hey, they got a fan in me. I'm rooting for him.
There you go. So, yeah, Iron, feel free to be like, you were wrong about literally all of that. What's up, P.
I
Diddy?
hope we haven't lost all of our viewers. Well, we just butchered people's names. So, sorry about that.
These dumbasses are telling us that they're talking fantasy football. Meanwhile, they're trying to butcher through European languages. Yeah, false advertising.
You're only gonna find that type of entertainment here.
Where else? What other channel? We'll talk about the Vienna Vikings. Let's go Vienna.
I'm about
P.
it.
Diddy,
I would love to
thanks
go to
for
Vienna,
coming in.
but that's another conversation.
That's a different city.
P. Diddy, what's going on? And Iron, no, I don't.
Kasim played for the Saints. I remember when Hamburg had a team in NFL Europe. I caught like 10 minutes of one game, and I was probably 14 years old, so I can't say. Not that I even know when this player played, so I'm not familiar with him. But he's his brother-in-law with Cam Jordan, so there you go. There's a little NFL family connection in the ELF, the ELF.
No, I remember the NFL Europe, because that was when I was in Barcelona, and they had the Barcelona Dragons.
Did they? I thought it was like, okay, I didn't know that Spain had a team in NFL Europe. I thought it was Fred Jackson, they were all in Germany except for like
Fred Jackson
one.
Played for the Rhine Fire, which is in Germany, and he was their leading rusher, I think, back before he was signed to the Bills. So
there you go.
But no, it's cool that there's new leagues popping up, not just in the U.S. with the USFL and the XFL and the AAF. It's cool that they're doing that over in Europe, man. Europe too.
The idea of of there being global interest in American football is exciting. And I've said this numerous times, and I'll say it again. I mean, like, things will continue. This is going to sound kind of stupid, but like technology, like things in general, will continue to improve, will continue to evolve, and that includes like travel, flying. Like everybody, like we would always.
You would hope. This is getting into a whole another conversation.
We're
still riding around in planes
here,
from the 70s, bro.
But the idea of like the NFL expanding to international cities gets more and more plausible by the year. Like,
yes.
I think you can eventually put a team in London, because it's not going to take that much long. It's not going to be that much longer where at least the private jets, like we're talking about commercial airlines versus what NFL teams used to fly, are going to be able to get over there in like 3 hours. Like, it's not going to be that long of a trip.
They had that technology in the 80s with the Concorde. They just abandoned it altogether because it lit on fire a few times and exploded. But again, we don't need to go there. But yeah, I see your point. Anyway,
it would be cool.
Johnny, you're scarred just because you're a contender, and with Herbert throwing to him, ... We get your point.
With Keenan, I got you. I understand.
If you are, I still think the smart move in a dynasty league is to take the small hit to get 5 years younger.
If you can.
Yes.
If you can. Here, at the end of the day, like, if you have your guys, maybe this isn't always the best advice, but like, if you have dudes where it's just like, I like their situation for this year, it's okay to hold guys. Like, yes, we always want to be forward thinking. How can we get better? How can I be better, not just for this year, but for years to come? But at the end of the day, if you feel like you're going to come away from a deal like, I don't know if I feel good about it on a personal level, regardless of what we're telling you here, then don't do something you ultimately don't want to do. This is just like the smart, the forward-thinking play. The forward-thinking play is to get younger.
Especially in Dynasty, you would rather be a year early than a year late.
Yeah.
There's countless fantasy dynasty owners have gotten stuck holding the bag too long on Julio Jones and Robert Woods, and now they're worth basically nothing. Whereas if you were to have traded them even a year ago, you probably could have gotten a few seconds, maybe a first for them, based on the value that people had perceived for them in their brains, because they hadn't fallen off yet, or gone to bad situations and underperformed due to injuries yet, or anything like that. All it takes is one down year, and we are not, let me be clear, we are not projecting a down year for Keenan Allen. We are not.
No.
But again, we talk about it pretty much we bring it up at least pretty much once a live stream, selling at peak value. Now, you're not going to sell at peak value for a 30-year-old wide receiver, but sometimes taking a page out of Bill Belichick's book isn't a bad thing. It's better to trade a player away a year early than a year too late. Because I'm staring at a situation where, like, I gave away Robert Woods in a deal. I'm staring at Julio Jones on my squad like, bro, I'm going to cut him. And whereas a year ago, I could have reaped some sort of benefit from trading them away. We don't expect that for Keenan Allen this year, but better to be a year early than a year late.
True.
But that said, your point stands. If you were just in love with the player and you love his situation, you love the way he plays, you love watching him on Sundays during the football season, and that having him on your team gives you an extra chance to root for him, then hold him. I'm in that situation with aging players too. So, just something to weigh.
We expect him to have one more good season this year, or another good season this year. So it's always, you could avoid falling into that trap of having a player age out on your roster next year as well.
True.
It's not like he's 33 and it's like it's now or never.
Yeah.
It's getting close. Getting close. It's getting close, but it's not now or never time. It's not do or die time with Keenan Allen. But if you turn it into Jalen Waddle, then that's not something you have to worry about for the next 7 or 8 years.
At all.
At all. And you're still talking about a guy who caught 100 balls last year and is not, it's not super similar player to Keenan Allen, but is going to put up similar numbers. Catch a lot of passes, maybe not set the world on fire with like his finish from a yardage perspective.
Now, the big brain move would be to try to move away from Keenan Allen and move on to Mike Williams. If you can trade Keenan Allen away from Mike Williams.
Go get the other guy
Mike
who
Williams
is
plus
to.
Even, depending on it. It depends on how people value these different players in your league.
I don't know if you could do that, but if you can, do it.
That's just another option for you. So try that out.
General rule of thumb: target good players on good teams who are catching passes or getting the ball handed off to them from good quarterbacks.
Yes.
Like, if all else fails, Target the dudes attached to good quarterbacks. So, yeah, I mean, if you like Keenan Allen, then you got to like Mike Williams for that same exact simple reason.
And Johnny Jones, man, that is a fleece and a half. Like, wow.
Oh, hell.
Wow. We're not huge Claypool fans. We like him. We're not huge Claypool fans, but that's a win.
That's a win. That's ridiculous. You got to have other people turning their heads looking at that. Here's what I'll say about Claypool. I have as bad of a taste that he left in our mouths after last season. I think his stock has fallen too far. I think his ADP for this year and you know at coincidental, or you know, what's the word I'm thinking of or trying to say. I think the vibes have fallen too far on Chase Claypool. Yes, the Steelers. He didn't have a good season. He only caught 1 touchdown last year after having like 10 or 11 his rookie season. He was at the podium to, in theory, announce his replacement in George Pickens. His maturity has been called into question. All of these things. He was a 5th-round pick last year in redraft. Now he can easily be had at like the 9-10 turn. So his ADP has dropped like 50 spots. I think he's a really good value right now. That is a fleece. That is somebody who has completely given up on him. And he's way too young and has, in a very short amount of time, shown too much to go for that.
Yeah, people are, I mean, it's kind of the perfect storm of I mean, negativity on the Chase Claypool side.
It's been
he had
nothing
a down
but
season where he did not perform up to expectations in high profile moments. Mm-hmm. He made some boneheaded moves that got blasted all over the internet and all over Twitter and played on Red Zone over and over and over again. And then this off season, to Nick's point, they drafted 2 wide receivers and they invested in a quarterback that has some question marks.
Mm-hmm.
But are we forgetting that as a rookie, did he not have over 1,000 yards?
I don't think he had 1,000 yards, but he had 11 total touchdowns. He caught 10 and he ran for 1.
And he's only 23 years old right now.
Right, he's still young.
Yeah, he only had 873 yards, but
still, as a rookie.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, he's a rookie.
Yeah, 11 touchdowns, 2 of them rushing, so a little bit strange usage, but still.
And they, you know what? They used him like in that same role last year. Well, they'll give him end arounds like on the goal line. He didn't capitalize.
Fast and he's big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He didn't capitalize last year. He didn't score last year
because the offense was anemic. But
right, but they still put him in those, like they use him in a variety of ways. Yeah. I think his stock has fallen too far. You want to talk about buy lows? Chase Claypool's a buy low.
He falls into that category. He does.
He's a buy low. Chase Claypool is 100% a buy low. That's not a buy low, Johnny. That's just stealing.
Yeah.
Because
what is Berrios right now? He's
his team's wide receiver 4. He's a fantasy wide receiver
6.
5 or 6, 5 at best.
I think it's wide receiver 6. I mean, we saw from Berrios because every single wide receiver in their offense went down.
Yeah, Davis battled injuries last year. Elijah Moore went down around the middle of the season due to COVID, and then lost. Crowder missed time. Yeah.
They could not trust Denzel Mims at all. Keelan Cole got injured.
Yeah.
So yeah, they were down to bare bones, and they were forced to use Barrios, and he looked decent, but he's a career special teamer that does his Chris Hogan thing occasionally.
Yeah, he's a decent little player, but he's now buried on the depth chart.
So a team's wide receiver 5
and a kicker.
Kicker.
That's disrespectful.
Wow, dude.
To be
Good
honest.
job.
Yeah, hats off.
If I had a hat, I'd take it off.
Pat yourself on the back for that one.
But yeah, we have made it to the end of the chat. I mean, I'm still down to talk some more fantasy. Y'all have any more questions for us?
We'll let, if there's anything else. Or wait, Alex, we missed this. He got a trade offer.
Sent me an offer of 304 and the 1104 for the 411 for his 411 and the 611. I'm sorry, I can't read.
Feels like a big drop off to go down to 11.
I'd counter.
If you're open to dealing, Alex, I would counter. And sorry that we missed that just after you sending the super. But I mean, again, if you think that Higgins is going to be there at the 309 after that whole thing happened where a teammate or a league mate missed the draft, so you kind of reset things. If you think Higgins is going to be at the pick that you already have, I mean, you're still going to get a good player at 411, and there should be a decent. I mean, if you're not crazy about the options at the 611, you might be able to turn the 611 into like a couple of late picks that you prefer to have.
He already has 2 7ths, 2 12ths, 2 17ths, and 2 20s.
I'm inclined to say wait and look down the board, see what you think is going to be there. If you like if you think you're getting Higgins at the 309 and, a round later, you can get, say, I don't know, is Jerry Jeudy going to be there? Like, is Marquise Brown going to be there? Like,
I think you're in a good position where you can see how it goes. You have a great setup for the future. For now, you're set up real well. You've made moves already that puts you in a great position to win. I think I would sit.
Yeah, I mean, you're moving up almost 2 rounds, about a round and a half from the 411 to the 304. So that's cool. But then from the 611 to the 1104, you're dropping like 4.5 rounds. Right? Math. 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, like 4.5 rounds. Obviously I get the trade-off of moving from, moving up you're going to move down farther than you move up. I understand that. I don't know, it just feels like a lot.
Yeah.
If it was like the 904 or something, like, okay, that's a little bit easier of a drop to swallow.
And it really depends, too, if there's a player there that you absolutely can't live without.
Yeah, if there's a dude, right. If there's a guy where it's like, I can get that dude, like that guy. Not like, I get the pick.
That guy fell to me. No,
right.
But like I think you can wait unless the counter offer works in your favor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, don't make the trade and then be like, crap, there's like 3 players I would take here, I would stand pat. You're off to a great start.
Yeah.
I think you hold the keys to the castle right now.
Yeah. I would chill.
Yeah, I would chill for now, especially because you have the 309. You already made a good use of the 302. You got Andrews. You're going to get another player in this round anyway. And there should be another good young receiver, like I would think like a Judy type maybe is there at the 411. I'd want that. Interesting little tidbit. I actually just saw. I saw it on Twitter earlier, and then it just got retweeted. About the Denver Broncos. Jared Smola. He works for Draft Sharks.
Okay.
Cortland Sutton's PPR scoring average when Jerry Jeudy was out of the lineup last year with the high ankle sprain. So Cortland Sutton without Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver 13. Cortland Sutton's PPR scoring with Jerry Jeudy in the lineup when Jerry Jeudy returned. Are you ready for this? Wide receiver 152.
I mean, we saw those splits happen.
Jerry Jeudy might be a lot better than people are giving him credit for.
Or he was just hyper targeted by the quarterbacks that were playing those past few seasons. Teddy Bridgewater can't throw down the field. We know this.
But Russ can.
So I don't know. I mean, that is a damning stat. That is a damning stat, about as damning a stat as you can find. But
will Sutton be the wide receiver 150 with Russell Wilson?
No.
Will he take a back seat to Jerry Jeudy? I think he will.
Could happen.
I think he will. So, yeah. Alex, if Jerry Jeudy's there at the 411, pounce.
Yeah, there you go. I think that's more of a fair deal. And if you're looking at it and you would like to have that second running back stud, then go for it. And Johnny Jones, hey, we're glad that you love Dynasty. We love Dynasty too.
Don't worry about me. I'm over here being a dumbass, I guess. I spent a first to get Claypool. I got a fourth back in the deal. Woo.
That's not again, man. I don't think that's terrible.
So the pick turned into Sky Moore. So I essentially traded Sky Moore for Chase Claypool, and the pick that I used on Snoop Connor. So let's call it a Sky Moore for Chase Claypool 1-for-1 swap. I'm not mad. If Sky Moore pops, then so be it. Then I'll take it and I'll learn from it, and I'll be smarter about the deals that I make. I look at my team in that league as being decent, but I needed a couple of pieces to really have some where it was like, okay, on a week-to-week basis, I could compete. I identified Claypool as a guy where I was like, I see a path where he can only trend up. I see a scenario where this is his lowest point.
And at the time, I mean, we were looking at the 108, like that's when the drop off happens. We didn't know that Christian Watson was going to be going to the Packers. And even so, man, like if you have a choice between Christian Watson on the Packers and Chase Claypool,
I mean, Watson's intriguing, but I can't, I'd be silly. I can't say that I'd rather have Christian Watson.
It's really tough. It is very, very close. But the edge to me goes to the guy that I've seen produce 2 800-yard seasons and 1 11 touchdown season in the NFL
and a 10 touchdown season. Yeah,
with a crappy quarterback situation.
Right, Roethlisberger was on the decline when Claypool was a rookie, and he still had a pretty good season.
And the Steelers drafted this guy. We know he's made some bonehead moves, but the Steelers have one of the best track records of drafting great wide receivers. Has he completely fired to this point to where he's a shoe-in high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1? No, not yet.
No,
but I'm still willing to put my money on the track record there.
Hope's not dead. Yeah, he's not. It's not like that reality. The chance of that becoming a reality still very much exists.
Yes.
Will it happen? Can't say. Can it? Sure. And
hey man, that's what happens when people who've been playing redraft or whatever, dip their toes into Dynasty. We just got back from a weekend where we were chilling with a whole bunch of Dynasty league mates who we'd been in keeper league and redraft leagues with for 12 years. And we finally got them all to join Dynasty for one season, and to a man, with the exception of one person who I think is delusional. Everybody said, "Yo, I like Dynasty is a game changer, hands down," and they're not wrong. They're not wrong. Dynasty.
It gives you the opportunity to play GM.
I can honestly say, if I haven't dipped my toes in a Dynasty, I don't know if I'd have this pod with Nick right now, or this
to have
YouTube
the passion to talk. Yeah, to talk. I mean,
yeah.
And there were plenty of days when I still lived in Philly where you would just walk over after work and you would just start yelling about it was so random. It didn't even matter. Like, you were just like, something was on your mind all that day and you were like, I need to yell about this. But it's different when the things that you're talking about can have lasting effects, long-term ramifications. It really requires you to put some thought into this, and not just thought, but do your homework, do your research, sit down and break things down. Don't just look at something in a glass case and say, oh yeah, that makes sense. Does it make sense for this year? Does it make sense 3 years from now?
Well, the fact that there isn't a 4 to 6 month shelf life on one of my favorite things to talk about in the world. Now it's literally. I mean, you guys are chilling with us. Y'all have been all off season. That's Dynasty's fault. Like, it is. And so yeah. I mean, if I hadn't dipped my toes into Dynasty, would I still love talking football? Absolutely. Would I have created a fantasy football YouTube channel and dedicated my life to doing it 100% of the time, all the time? Probably not. So yeah, Dynasty is a game changer. Alex, he countered 304 and the 1009 for my 611, 702, and 711.
Yeah.
Yes.
I would do that.
Yes. You don't have any
now you're jumping,
and you will be trading away both of your 7s.
Yeah. But, you're jumping up 2.5. You're jumping 2.5 rounds to fall back 2 rounds,
and you
just to give up
the
one
rights
extra
to one
pick.
Of your players. Right.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
That I would do. Nice negotiating.
And
yes.
Great negotiating.
I would do that,
CXK,
Alex.
Jahan Dotson.
Yeah. And Johnny, I see your question about kickers and defenses. We'll get to that in a second. Saw something today in OTAs. Now, take it with a grain of salt. Terry McLaurin is not there. He is working on getting a new contract. But apparently Wentz loves throwing the ball to Dotson. And one of my favorite follows of all time, I guess I would have to call him a personal influencer, as far as you just got done talking about us doing this on a consistent basis, having this channel, talking to you guys, talking through things, answering questions. One of the guys that I admire the most, John Hansen, who I got to give credit for, honestly, like for even giving me the thought of getting on this track, tweeted today that he thinks that there's a very real world where Dotson becomes a better player than Terry McLaurin.
That's
a take.
That's a take and a half, because
take.
Terry McLaurin is real good.
Yeah, but if it had been any other Twitter account, if it was somebody else, like some random person in the community who I follow, but no offense, I don't have the same respect for, I wouldn't have even mentioned this. I've had my fair share of success playing fantasy football. I owe it a lot to the way my mindset and approach has been shaped because of this man. Just saying. The draft capital is there. The athletic profile is there. Chance Dotson might be pretty good. So yeah. Robinson and Rojo. It's Dotson for me, and it's not close.
I know people do put a premium on running backs. People do.
Sure.
In Dynasty, it's the short-sighted thing to do.
Get the receiver.
Especially when you're talking about a backup running back to the first and second down workload on a bad team in Brian Robinson, who took until his 5th year to perform in college in the SEC. He was not a running back who was very highly touted until he was 22, 23 years old playing with a bunch of 18, 19-year-olds. He was literally a man amongst boys. It took him until he was a man amongst boys to break out in the SEC. And Rojo has literally disappointed at every turn in the NFL. Not just in fantasy. He's disappointed his coaching staffs year after year after year after year. Do I put faith in Andy Reid? Sure.
Yeah, sure. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
But Bruce Arians is no slouch. Bruce Arians is not so much of a downgrade in coaching staff and general cachet in the league than Andy Reid. And he always seemed to be in the Arians doghouse.
Yep.
Will he be in Alex not Alex Smith's
Andy
Reid's doghouse like he was with Bruce Arians? Probably not. But I mean, basically 2 backup running backs for a first round wide receiver who should be a stud, could be a stud. We could see him. I'm not going to go out on a limb like your guy and say that Jahan Dotson's going to be better than Terry McLaurin, but Terry McLaurin could move on from Terry McLaurin. That's what I'll say. They could move on from Terry McLaurin, if not sometime this offseason, by next season, week 1. By 2023, week 1, Jahan Dotson could be the clear and away wide receiver 1 on this team, with really nobody questioning him for targets. I would much rather have Jahan Dotson. Even if he doesn't become the wide receiver that Terry McLaurin is. Excuse me. And Johnny Jones, you've been wondering how you guys play with kickers and defenses. This question I'm going to leave to the defense and kicker whisperer, because that's what you are, bro. Lean into it.
Hardly, but thanks. I mean, how do we play? So we don't have them in our dynasty leagues. We decided to forego that and opted for more flex spots so that we could play more wide receivers and running backs and tight ends. I only play with kickers and defenses in my redraft leagues, and and we have a keeper league as well, which is closer to redraft than it could ever be to dynasty. So we have kickers and defenses there. It's one of each, nothing fancy. I know different leagues have different rules and different experiments with different things. 1-1. And it's just like my redraft leagues, which are significantly more casual than my dynasty leagues. Is there a ranking? So today, right now, and I kind of do this again, it's the end of May. Tomorrow we get to say Happy June to everybody.
Yep.
I can only go off of one thing with kickers. Now, with kickers, obviously they're individual performers, and we know who are really good at this point. Justin Tucker is highly regarded. Tyler Bass is highly regarded at this point. Evan McPherson, I think, came into his own very strongly last year, especially in the NFL playoffs. That man will be, as long as wherever I play in a league where I have to draft a kicker, that man will be on my roster more than once for the rest of his career. Nick Folk, you mentioned. I see you mentioned Nick Folk. He's highly regarded. There are some. I'm sure I'm missing one or two other names. There are some bona fide studs. The Saints are getting Will Lutz back this year. If he's able to regain his form, he's a very good kicker. You get my point. If you miss on like the elite of the elite with the kickers, and now I'll talk about like your middling options at kicker and your defenses. I go to Vegas. I look at Vegas today, right now. This can obviously change and will change as we get closer to the season. And I look at win totals. I look at projected win totals. Because it kind of goes hand in hand in here with kickers and defenses. You want kickers and defenses that are in situations where their team is winning the game. So what does that mean for both sides? It's simple. In a vacuum, a team with a lead, the defense gets to be more aggressive, gets to play more aggressive. And I'm not talking about a 7-0 lead in the second quarter. I mean, these are good teams winning games, and they have let's say a 10 to 14 point lead in the fourth quarter, if not better. Those defenses get to play more aggressive. They get to tee off more frequently on a play-per-play basis. And the opposing offense, is more prone to mistakes. Making mistakes, forcing things that maybe necessarily they shouldn't because they're desperate, because they're trailing, and they're trying to make a play. This is how sacks and turnovers happen at a higher rate. It's good for the defense. Now, on the kicker side of things, yes, we live in an era, we live in an age where we watch the NFL. We see more and more offenses keeping their foot on the gas, not resting on their laurels. A 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, depending on your opponent, doesn't mean all that much. So they may be going for it more on fourth and short, from their own, say, 36, 37-yard line, right in that range where your kicker could maybe get a 50-yard field goal. However, teams playing with a lead are more likely to take opportunities to tack on points. Kick field goals. Extend your lead. Make it more difficult. If you can turn a 2-score lead into a 3-score lead, and that just means going from 14 points to 17 points, or, the weird scoring happens all the time, from 12 points to 15 points. That's a 2-score lead that becomes a 3-score lead. So teams with a lead are more likely to do one or both of these things. Create sacks and turnovers on defense because the opposing offense is forcing more things and therefore more prone to mistakes. And you're trying to pad your lead. Field goals help you pad your lead. So today in May, at the end of May, start of June, I'm looking at Vegas. I'm looking at projected win totals, teams that Vegas expects to be good this year, and that's how I'm ranking kickers outside of the elite obvious options and defenses. So give me the teams that have 10.5 win totals or more. Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Buffalo. Dallas has a high projected totals right now, but I think their defense might regress a little bit this year. They were historically awful in 2020, and then they bounced back nicely in 2021. I think they find some middle ground. But the kickers and defenses on those teams more likely to be in favorable situations. And then at the end of the year, give me defenses that are playing in the cold and give me kickers that are playing in warm weather or in domes.
And you asked who are the elite kickers again? I mean, Justin Tucker is up there. Tyler Bass is up there. Nick's boy Evan McPherson is up there.
McPherson is up there.
Ryan Suckup plays for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he should be up there. Matt
Nick
Gay,
Folk.
who was the #1 kicker in the league last year.
Somebody.
Los Angeles Rams, he's up there.
Nick Folk.
Nick Folk was up there.
He had a strong year. Gotta give him that.
Yeah, he had a strong year. Matt Prater, Cardinals. We talk about how many points the Cardinals score. And they get DeAndre Hopkins back halfway through the season, so they should be better later in the year than they were earlier in the year, when they're at least in more scoring positions. So that's a good kicker for a late season push. But those are who I view as elite kickers, and I think a lot of them fall in under the criteria that Nick just outlined. And Johnny, I'll just Pitts and Sky Moore for Gesicki Deontay in a second. That's closer to me, and I think I would do that. I don't think it really even depends what kind of second it is.
If
it's a 23-second or a 24-second.
I would do that.
See if you can make it a 24-second just to make it a little bit better for you. But I would do that all day because the difference between Kittle.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would try. I don't even know if I would bother negotiating. Getting Pitts for anything less than an absolute mammoth haul.
For anything less than like 2 firsts plus good players.
Plus Deontay and 2 firsts. Yeah. Deontay
and 2 firsts might not get you
and
Pitts.
You're getting Sky Moore. Smash accept.
Yeah.
Smash accept now before he can pull it back.
You know the league owners you're dealing with. If you can negotiate a little bit and make it even just a little bit sweeter for yourself and push that second back another year, try for it. But that's about as clear-cut a win as there is.
Yeah,
because Kittle is 27 now, coming off a few injury-riddled seasons. He's 28. Pitts is 21 right now, I believe.
Yeah, he'll be 22 he'll be 22 in October.
And
so, yeah.
He had 1,000 yards as a rookie from the tight end position, literally unheard of. And the only reason people aren't higher on him and he didn't finish higher is because he only caught 1 touchdown. So
in an anemic offense.
Yeah, so you said it hasn't been made yet, Johnny. If you feel like you can negotiate with that owner, try it out. If you can't, I would just
do it. I would just do it on the off chance. And again, you know your league mates better than we know your league mates. On the off chance that I get under his skin even a little bit for asking to tinker with the offer even a little bit more. I've already hit accept. If I'm you, I have already hit accept. Give me Pitts.
Yeah.
Give me Pitts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Deontay, but there are certain situations where you just can't say no.
Pitts is a tight end 1 for the next 10 years.
Pitts is the tight end 1 for Dynasty for the next decade. Yeah.
Yeah.
He is the tight end 1 for Dynasty for the next 10 years. He
is, depending on who you're asking, he's a top 2 Dynasty tight end for the next 10 years.
And he's a top in 1 quarterback. He's a top 5 Dynasty asset in Superflex. Say maybe more closer to top 15, but that's when you're not a quarterback. That's still excellent.
Still, it's a win. Yeah. If you can make that happen, go for it. If you can make it a little bit sweeter for yourself, then go for that too. But that's not quite as much as a slam dunk as the Claypool move. But honestly, getting Pitts for anything less, getting Pitts and not spending a first at all is a clear win. Because any league I'm in, if I'm trying to acquire Pitts, that person's asking for at least 2 firsts.
Yep.
Yeah. If you can get that done, great job.
Yes, sir. Real quick, just wanted to little piece of news dropped while we were on. The Vikings have officially signed former Dolphins wide receiver Albert Wilson to a 1-year deal. So
the Vienna Vikings.
There you go. The Vienna Vikings.
Shout out Vienna Vikings.
Shout out to Vienna, but no, the stateside Minnesota Vikings have signed Albert Wilson to a 1-year deal, and this just happened 3 minutes ago from Aaron Wilson, who works for Pro Football Network. After the latest lawsuit has been filed, Rusty Hardin, who is Deshaun Watson's attorney, stated that Watson, quote, vehemently denies the allegations, unquote, and characterized the plaintiff as having a vendetta against Watson, who posted his personal info on social media in 2020. So there you go. I'm not going to say anything more about that. Just wanted to mention.
If they had a personal vendetta against Watson, why would it have taken him this long to join the lawsuit?
That's a fair question. That's a fair question. That just doesn't
add up. I'm sorry, dude.
That's a fair question. But anyway, just want to throw it out there. There's that, and Albert Wilson is.
I should not be laughing. I should not be laughing.
Yeah. It's a very slippery, convoluted situation.
Yeah. Johnny, you say I feel like players are more valuable than picks, though, right? Because players are confirmed stars.
Right now, today, yes.
And it really depends on the players you're talking about. But the
Pitts
picks
is one of those players. Pitts is more valuable than any.
If you would have had the pick that ended up being Jamar Chase, right? Then you only paid that one first-round pick for Jamar Chase. And then once you showed that he was the superstar of superstars, now it's going to take 4 firsts to get him. So, 3 firsts, end up getting a good player. 4 firsts to get him. So, I mean, yes, players are more valuable than picks. But players also bust at a high rate, and there's no guarantee that the player that you're picking in the first round, outside of the last few seasons where we've had incredible drafts, is worth that first round pick. So it's the game we play. This is what Dynasty is. It is a ever-changing game of value propositions and finding ways to maximize this asset versus that asset and getting that edge over the next person in your league. So yeah, because you're thinking you'd rather give 2 firsts than Deontay for Pitts. It depends where your team's at. Too, because if you're a rebuilding team and you expect your firsts to be low-end firsts for the next few or high firsts for the next few seasons, then that means more than you're a contender and you expect your firsts to be the 111, 112. There's a lot not all firsts are created equal, and it depends on where your team's at. It depends on your league. If you're a contender, then yeah, I'd rather give up 2 firsts than Deontay. Especially since Deontay will help me contend. If I'm rebuilding, now,
yeah.
And you are a contender, at least you think I am. Hey, if you're picking up Claypool for absolutely nothing, and you're moving Keenan Allen into DJ Moore, I mean, you're a contender. You're a contender. If you're making moves like that, then yeah, if I'm a contender, I'd rather give up 2 firsts than Deontay. If I'm a rebuild, I'd rather give up Deontay for Pitts than 2 firsts. Right?
Yeah.
That's the game we're playing. It's like you got to look at your squad, see where you fit in with the rest of your league, and then make the best decision for your team. No team situation is equal. Not everyone thinks their team is good. Unless you're in a league where everybody just thinks their team is good. I play in leagues where people with bad teams think they have good teams. Like, it happens. If you're realistic about your squad, you can leverage that too. This is the game we play.
Yeah.
And everybody's a little bit biased towards their team.
Right.
But I can honestly tell you, I got teams where I am straight up ass. Like, my team is straight up ass. Like, it's bad.
But it's set up to set up to rebuild. Will it pan out that way? Obviously, that remains to be seen. But it's better to be bad with flexibility and assets than to be bad and think you have a chance.
Yeah, we see a lot of teams in that area where it's just like they don't know they're bad. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's the same in the NFL. We all watch football. There are teams that think they are in a great position to win that are just bad, and they're deluding themselves.
Right.
Yeah, Johnny, throw us your whole team. Let's see it.
Yeah, you can do that. While you're doing that, if anybody's interested, if you're not in the Discord yet, you do not have to be a member to join the Discord. You can keep the conversation going over there. We'll take any and all questions, redraft, dynasty, trades, any general topics you want to talk about.
Yep.
We are we were a little touch and go over the past couple of weeks, but we are mostly accessible in there. Again, plenty of people where you can bounce ideas off of, not necessarily just us. The community is growing in the Discord, and it's free to join. It is the link. It is the second link of the description of this video and a lot of our most recent videos, if you care to check that out. Just want to do a quick pitch for that. Again, you're always free to drop your teams in the Discord if you want any advice when we are not live. Happy to do that.
Let's see this squad, Johnny.
While Johnny's doing that, for everybody else, I think we're coming up on the end of this stream, on this show in particular. So again, the Discord is open if you're not already in there. If you are, great. Continue to use it. However you see fit. If you're not in there, feel free to join us.
Absolutely.
And then finally, one just quick pitch. We are also, we are full go with memberships. If we are of interest to you from a channel perspective, we are putting more recorded content out starting this week after a bit of a hiatus. So more content is on the way. If you are interested in supporting the channel further, we do offer memberships. One of the several perks with being a member is you will get the opportunity to play fantasy football with us. We will set up a league. We will figure out the format of that league. The buy-in in all likelihood will just be your membership. And John and I will of course take the reins as far as commissioning and overseeing that league. And we'll play for fun. We'll maybe play for some merchandise. It'll just be more or less an opportunity to kind of build the community a little bit further. If you have any interest in that, there are more details in the first link in the description of this video, and first link in the description of all of our recent videos. So more information there with details of the perks that would come with it. But with that said, Johnny's team looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen, Kirk Cousins, Trey Lance. I'm just going to order of
or positional order.
Yeah, all right. And then running backs, DeAndre Swift, CEH, Antonio Gibson, Leonard Fournette, Alexander Madison,
Rashad
White, Zamir White. I mean, great running back depth, great
running back depth.
Wide receiver Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson. I mean, Keenan Allen. Yeah, honestly, if Keenan Allen's your wide receiver 3, I'd feel fine turning Keenan Allen into DJ Moore. I'd feel fine turning Keenan Allen into
Waddle.
Jalen Waddle. Especially since you have Claypool, Elijah Moore, Jameson Williams. Like, yeah, bro, your team's
good.
Your team better be called the Roman Empire in your league.
And then, I would say the only thing where it's like you're a little kind of on is tight end. With you got Gesicki, he's fine. You got Alberto. We expect big things, but we'll see. You got Brevin Jordan. We like his potential long-term outlook, but we're not necessarily crowning him just yet. So, yeah, I mean, if you can find a way to take this and add Kyle Pitts to it, I don't see why you can't be anything short of the favorite.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great squad. That is a great
squad. Strong
I wish
depth.
I had that squad. Great job, Johnny Jones.
Yeah.
And, I mean, getting Claypool for what you did, icing on the cake.
Yep.
Let's see if you can make some of these moves that you asked us about in the chat today. If you can, let us know in the Discord, or let us know on Thursday when we're back up in here for the all-public stream. Alex, if you're still in here and you're still awake over in England, have a great time on the rest of your trip, man. Thank you so much for the super. CXK, thank you for being in here yourself. Always appreciate you being in here. Johnny Jones, too. Iron, you already know. P. Diddy, Papa Diddy, Puff, you already know. We love chatting with y'all.
Always.
And so, have a great week. Or not week. Have a great rest of your evening, guys.
We'll have a great week, but we're going to be. We intend to be a part of it.
Before the end of the week.
We intend to be part of it.
For the members, we'll see y'all tomorrow. We'll try to have a fun show for you tomorrow. Maybe mix it up a little bit. But we'll see you guys on Thursday.
Yep. Have a good night, guys.
Peace, y'all. I'm just playing.
Playing?